Well, it's great to be here in Brevard County at Ugali High School. I want to thank Richard Corcoran, Superintendent Mullins, also Bill McInnish, who works here and is doing a great job for being here. It's a great announcement today. We think this is a great place to make this announcement because if you look at the hangar we're standing in, you have students in Brevard County that are learning the technical skills for aviation maintenance and fabrication, but this is just one of 7 career and technical programs. So we also have President Ritchie. Where is he up here? Is it? Okay, yeah, just Eastern. Thanks for Eastern Florida State College. So it's just one of 7 career and technical programs offered here. Others include outboard marine service technology. There's a lot of money in that, especially in this state with everybody having these boats, and automotive maintenance and repair. Brevard County is partnered with Eastern Florida State College, Embraer, and the Orlando Melbourne International Airport to offer these innovative programs for the students here. We're on the Space Coast, and obviously there's a lot of great stuff going on with aviation technology. So these students right now getting these skills, they're going to be able to have some really, really good jobs without having to go tens of thousands of dollars in debt in the process. So over the last several weeks, we've been rolling out a number of proposals using the federal funds that Florida's received to advance things like infrastructure, support of first responders, and to further propel our economy, which many people would wish they would have what Florida's doing. We actually have people opening new businesses here. We actually have people hiring people. Our unemployment rate's much less than the national average and way less than a lot of the lockdown states like California and New York. Today, though, we think we can build off this momentum. And I'm somebody who, while I value the importance of some of the university-based education, I also look around and see the fact is in this last generation, you have a lot of people that have gone deep into debt to go to these traditional universities. They end up studying things that don't have as much application in the real world. And look, if you're studying like a liberal arts and you're really learning to think well, at some of these schools, you're going to be fine. But I think we know we have some of these schools where some of these majors just aren't really producing very much. So you have some of these students end up deep in debt and they don't really have great career prospects. So from the very beginning of my administration, I said we need to reinvigorate the idea of vocational, technical, and career education. And so when we first came into office, we issued an executive order that with the goal that Florida would be the #1 state in the nation for workforce education by 2030, and also to ensure that Florida students are prepared to fill high-demand, high-wage jobs of today and the future. And we've already taken steps in that direction. We've boosted computer science education and professional developments in our schools. We've established the Pathways to Career Opportunities grant program to establish or expand apprenticeship and pre-apprenticeship programs. I know a number of schools throughout Florida have embraced that, and that's really good. That offers those students great opportunities. We've also increased opportunities to Floridians to earn short-term credentials in high-demand fields through the Rapid Credentials program. And then we've also launched the Get There Florida initiative and website to raise awareness of short-term but high-value career and technical education programs. I really believe you can acquire some of these really important skills without having to be in a university setting for 4 years. And fortunately, sometimes, you're looking at relatively short-term programs can have very high yield returns for people. And to be 20 years old and to be making $70,000, $80,000 a year, what people in these fields can with no debt because you didn't have to go to an expensive college, and then a lot of these people end up being able to start their own businesses. It really creates a lot of opportunities for a lot of folks. And so it's our goal that as people come to Florida, as people are expanding businesses, people are looking at Florida as a place to start new businesses, people want to purchase homes, they're building homes, all these different things. There's going to be a need for people to have some of these skills, which really will end up being high-wage jobs, and will continue to be. So that's why we're today recommending to the legislature. We mentioned some of the stimulus money that we're getting for Florida. Now we get disadvantaged in this because our unemployment rate's so much lower. They actually give billions of dollars more to states that have high unemployment. and billions of dollars less to Florida because we have lower unemployment. And so you're actually rewarding states that did some of these ineffective lockdowns that have caused a lot of problems, and they're doing that. So be that as it may, we don't have as much as our per capita would be, but we put out a recommendation, not even for the full 9 or 10 billion, but we said here's about $4 billion worth of recommendations, and we mentioned that we wanted to do some of that money for workforce education and career education. And so we want to continue that momentum. And so today I'm proposing $75 million for the creation of Get There Faster initiatives to be administered by the Department of Education for current high school students and those out of high school to pursue areas of high demand, high skill vocations. In that effort, I'm asking the legislature to include these programs in this year's budget using some of the federal funding we've received over the past year due to the coronavirus pandemic. Now, the Get There Faster initiatives includes 2 programs. The Get There Faster Technical Prep and Work-Based Learning Initiative for current high school students, and the Get There Faster Post-Secondary Workforce Initiative for Florida adults with or without a high school degree. Now, the Technical Prep and Work-Based Learning Initiative funds include $50 million from the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund, which we call ESSER, and the Post-Secondary Workforce Initiative funded by $25 million from the Governor's Emergency Education Response Fund. We call that the GEAR Fund. And again, those were both through some of the more recent federal relief bills, although not the most recent one. Now, the Get There Faster initiatives will support those learners in workforce training programs, technical schools, and work-based learning opportunities with Florida businesses by providing wraparound services and covering costs not accounted for by traditional financial aid. These programs should place a particular emphasis on work-based learners and career training programs that allow students and adults to earn while they learn. You know, my view is getting kids in jobs, being able to actually serve as an apprentice while you're in school even, you end up being able to learn on the job and potentially have a pathway to get a full-time job when you graduate from high school. So we think that these are going to be really good for a lot of Florida students. We think it provides more opportunities. And my view is if you want to do something requiring a traditional university education, by all means, we want to help folks do that. But we also understand that those 4-year brick and ivy universities, while one way to potentially advance yourself, are not the only way, and for many students, certainly not the best way. And so we're creating more and more viable pathways that provide students with the skills that they can then turn into strong livings and high wages. Now, for the Get There Faster Technical Prep and Work-Based Learning Initiative, I recommend $50 million dedicated to covering the cost for high school students to participate in workforce college credit, career dual enrollment, or work-based learning opportunities. You know, we think that this is something that can really aid in a lot of the different costs, transportation, program fees, books, materials, any of these things that could potentially stand in the way of a low-income student from participating in some of these apprenticeship, pre-apprenticeship, or work-based learning opportunities. We want to make sure that every student that is qualified to be in a career dual enrollment program has the opportunity to do so and is not burdened by ancillary costs that can make or break their ability to learn technical skills that will help them achieve a future of self-sufficiency. Now, eligible students must be dually enrolled at a Florida college system institution or district or charter technical career center and must be further enrolled in a career and technical education or workforce program that leads to a credential of value to employers in the workforce. Now, for our adult learners and students enrolled in workforce programs at a Florida college system institution or district technical center, $25 million is provided for Get There Faster Post-Secondary Workforce Initiative to support adult learners pursuing in-demand and high-value career and technical education or work-based learning opportunities. This will help remove the financial barriers adult students are faced with when seeking in-demand and high-value career and technical education or training. This program would aim to cover the gap between non-loan-based financial aid and the cost of tuition, fees, and related expenses for Florida residents enrolling in post-secondary level apprenticeships or work-based learning programs. So similar to some students, there are Floridians who are eager to pursue the training and education necessary to launch or jumpstart their career, but the costs not covered by financial aid place too large of a burden. So we want to make sure that those adult learners, people who are already out of high school, also have the ability to do it. So we're rolling this out as an initiative that we're asking the legislature to provide authorization for. Now, theoretically, and I know Richard and I discussed, I mean, we could probably spend this under emergency authority, but because the legislature's in, we think we want to be able to work with them. And I think that what we're proposing today is very much in sync with what Senate President Wilton Simpson has been advocating to make sure that we're providing people the tools to be able to earn a really, really good living. You know, you have some of these folks who will go, they'll try to get like the university degree, they'll end up going deep into debt, the seas don't part for them, and they really struggle. Whereas you have some of these kids, you know, they're getting these great skills, they're going in, and man, there's a demand for that, and then you end up seeing the wages and the salaries go up more and more. You have some of these folks that are making six figures, you know, by the time they're in like their early 20s. And so that is something that we want people to understand. And what I also want to do is not have there be any type of stigma about going into like a workforce training program vis-a-vis a university. You're not any better because you're going to a university than anybody else. In fact, a lot of these folks who are doing the career way and getting these vocational skills are doing financially very well and have the opportunity to do very well. So these are opportunities we want. We want people to be able to choose what makes the most sense to them. But I really believe these initiatives build off some of the great success that we're seeing in Florida, and I think we can hopefully take it to the next level. So we're excited about doing this. We think as you look around the state and the different things that we're looking to make an impact on, obviously things like infrastructure, obviously we have to continue with disaster response. We need to continue doing things to stay ahead of the curve, such as with our resiliency programs that we're rolling out. But this workforce education, I think, can continue to separate Florida from some of the many other states. So I'm thankful for Richard Corcoran for working with us on here, on these initiatives, and I want to bring him up to say a few words.
Thank you. I'll start by saying that this is a fantastic initiative. You know, we've talked a bunch at different press conferences, and we quote Frederick Douglass, and he says, "What is education?" He goes, education is freedom. And what you're hearing today is going to give tens of thousands of Floridians not only economic freedom, but it helps them become better citizens, better community leaders. So what we're doing is we're saying, if you look at the pandemic and you look at what is the enrollment of first time in college, down, everything's down. But you look at the things that we really care about and watch, first time college students down the most. Adult learners down the most. We have 1.8 million people in the state of Florida who don't have a high school diploma. And during this pandemic, they're making these choices of, okay, I got to feed my family. I got to pay my rent. I got to do these things. I don't have time to go out there and try to get upskilled and get these terrific credentials of value. On top of that, it might be as little as a parking fee at a college or a uniform fee or whatever it is, and they go, I don't have the money, I'm scraping by. So what this is these Get There scholarships reach into the high school population. Kids who are thinking, I don't really think I'm college ready or what have you, and that's okay. But now we're going to make sure that they get these dual enrollment, clock hour, upskill credentials of value, so now they can immediately be marketable out in the workforce. And for our adult learners, we have, of that 1.8 million, a lot of them don't even have GEDs. And if you don't have a GED, you can't go ahead and enroll in one of these programs and be Pell Grant eligible. So what this does is it gives them a scholarship. Whatever it is that's keeping you from getting that credential of value, we're going to cover it. And then once they do that and they're in the college system and now they're going to get their remedial math and their remedial English, they'll get their GED, and then they're Pell eligible and they can finish all the way through with that credential, and it's stackable, so now they can get 1, 2, 3, and now they're completely certified. And as the governor said, now you got people out there, you're talking about 7-figure difference in income during the course of their life. It's that much of a game changer. And so what we're doing here is we're saying, you know, we have a decline of almost 50,000 students in both college and tech in adult learners. That's, you know, now those people are going to be able, those 50,000, be able to go out there, get the credential, get that increase in income, get that absolute self-esteem, that freedom that Frederick Douglass talks about, and be able to go out there and chart a different course, not only for them families, but for their communities in our state. And I think it's an excellent proposal. Certainly, I think the governor said it. President Simpson in the Senate has led on this. This is something that he is spot on right about, and we are hopefully that the legislature will grab hold of it, grab hold of these tens of thousands of students and learners, and help them not only have a great career and a great outcome and a great credential, but be lifelong learners and great citizens too. So thank you, Governor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Governor. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Eau Gallie High School, Brevard County. Governor DeSantis, thank you for visiting. It's always great to have you on the Space Coast. I want to thank both the Governor and the Commissioner for the work that has been done to keep our schools open this year. Through all the challenges, it's been important to keep our kids in Brevard Public Schools classrooms and on track and leading towards graduation. And we understand no greater than now how important that has been. We appreciate your leadership over the past year in helping ensure that the education future of our kids. Thank you. Brevard Public Schools Career and Technical Education Department, in conjunction with our local Economic Development Commission, Career Source, as well as Eastern Florida State College, are working to support priority sectors in our community. Governor, I'm pleased to tell you that Brevard County is committed as a community to support your goal of making Florida #1 in workforce by 2030. We think the program here at Eau Gallie High School is a step in the direction of supporting the state's priorities and meeting workforce needs. And we hope you have all enjoyed getting a chance to see our one-of-a-kind program here at Eau Gallie. Now, you might think that's a bold statement, but the fact is our aviation program truly is one of a kind, not just in Brevard or even in the state. It's one of a kind in the nation. Brevard Public Schools aviation program has the only certified aerospace aircraft assembly program at the high school level. Here at Eau Gallie, our CTE programs include air, land, and sea. From the aviation assembly program to automotive maintenance to our marine service technology. Essentially, if you can fly it or you can drive it on the road or even on the water, our kids here in this program have you covered. We are very proud of our CTE programs and the opportunities across the district, and certainly thrilled at the prospect of this new opportunity to enhance those opportunities, particularly those work-based opportunities for our CTE kids. Eau Gallie is just one example of what has been happening in our schools, and I do want to take this opportunity to recognize our school board, as they deserve a lot of the credit. They have supported CTE for several years, seeing the importance of diversifying educational options, knowing that as we serve our community, we had to meet the needs of our kids while also that of our local workforce. Our school board's leadership and vision for the county has kept CTE growing. So some examples. We now have a construction program in several of our schools. Our Teacher Academy program has expanded through the partnership of Eastern Florida State College. We have our first welding program at Astronaut High School. As a district, we also have enhanced some CTE programs that have allowed us to continue to capitalize on our partnership with Eastern Florida, as well as businesses like Embry Air Jets, who is a partner with this school in this program. So there are now 42 unique CTE programs across our high schools, which we think makes Brevard Public Schools truly the best educational option and experience in the county. But we're not done. Next year, we will launch a cybersecurity program at Titusville High School. We're working to establish a pre-apprenticeship program in manufacturing, and confident that that'll happen very soon, and with this prospect, even more exciting. It's important to know that BPS isn't just about high school students in CTE as well, because we're also diversifying middle school CTE options as well. So as an example, we're adding high school credit options in information technology, which obviously is a priority sector here in our community. That means our middle schoolers can have more high school credit opportunities even before entering the 9th grade. And we're exploring digital tools at the elementary level as our goal is to continue to increase rigor for our elementary students, something that we will pilot in this coming year. Internships, another area of growth. Currently, we have 4 students with the Brevard County government system. 2 are in their facilities program, 1 in automotive fleet repair, and the 4th in the permitting office. We also have interns working internally in Brevard Public Schools, and we're expanding that program this summer and excited that we'll be offering internships to over 25 students right within Brevard Public Schools. So the reality is that internships aren't just for college students anymore. When our kids graduate, nearly 50% leave with at least one of 82 industry certification credentials available, thanks to our CTE programs. This gives our kids an early start in the job market and helps keep qualified workers right here in Brevard County. And there is one more new program I'd like to tell you about, very exciting. An example of going from high school into the workforce. Through our great partnership with L3 Harris, they've agreed to hire 8 CTE students as interns upon graduation in June. The students went through a rigorous interview process. L3 Harris came back to us, said, we're so impressed, 8 is not enough. We're gonna take 10 students this summer. And the reality is those internships have the opportunity to translate into full-time jobs. It's a program we're excited about because it is a tangible example of what's possible thanks to our CTE programs, our talented instructors, and the great business partnerships we have across the district. So at this time, I'd like to have Bill McGinnis, one of our best, our aviation technology teacher here at O'Galley, give him the opportunity to come up and say a few words about the exciting program we have here at O'Galley. Mr. McGinnis?
Thank you, Superintendent. It's a privilege to teach at the only aerospace aircraft assembly program in the nation. It doesn't happen just, it takes a lot of people. Florida Space Coast EDC was the first to step up and support our program, followed by FIT and Eastern Florida State College grants, and we appreciate that. On top of that, our board, the senators, our governor, my superintendent, have supported this program all the way through and helped to bring in a lot of equipment. But it takes the business community to step up to make these things happen. Larson Motorsports donated a jet engine, $30,000 worth of jet engine. Dr. Gary over in Tampa donated the business jet. My kids earned the money to move it here over the summer. We've had many people, small businesses, step up and say, how can we support you? What do you need? And it's just been wonderful. But my parents care about something totally different. When I talk to them, I say a simple thing. My job is to get your student off of your payroll and onto somebody else's payroll. This year we're being successful. All my students are taken between L3 Harris, Piper, Embraer, STS Aeromod, the Air Force, the other military services, and soon to be Blue Origin and Ariane Supersonic. My kids have jobs and futures. And we're not just talking about a job at McDonald's either. We're talking about a job where a kid leaves here out of high school, goes in a job making in the mid-30s with the opportunity to move up quickly. They get things like full medical, full dental, eye care, those things that they need. They get tuition reimbursement, that thing that we don't, that us older people think about, a retirement. Those things are what they're getting coming out of high school, and that makes it special. But it takes a lot of people. And I just want to thank you.
Thank you. Well, I think you heard some of these great like to have these kids going into these places. It's really, really exciting, and I think there's only going to be more opportunities with what's going on here in the space. Because I can tell you, I got people all over the country that'll write into me just saying, look, what's happening in my state's a disaster. I'm considering, or some people say, I'm just going to move my business. And we get more and more interest in things like manufacturing. because people understand this is a good business environment and they see what we're doing on workforce education. So you're going to have a lot of folks who are going to have some great skills to be able to do that. And as they said, you can make a really, really good living doing it. So I think that this is going to add to the great things that have been going on in Florida, and we're going to continue to do it. And then one other thing I'll just say about being in school. You know, you look around the country, you have major areas that have not had kids in school for over a year. And they're definitely not going back at this point in the spring, most likely, because the school year will basically be over by the time you even mobilize for that. So you're going to end up with a year and a half. And who knows, maybe they'll figure out a way to stretch it into 2022 with no in-person education. You know, there's going to be catastrophic consequences for that. And what I think about Florida, what these guys did at the county level, what Richard was doing to make sure that we were not going to leave our kids behind. We understood that this was important for them, for families. We were going to do whatever we could. But, you know, I have people come up to me and stop me who are teachers thanking me for pushing to open the schools. You look at some of these other states, some of these people in education are fighting to keep the schools closed. So I think the folks in our school system in Florida, you know, have really led the way. I think that they've done a great job. And you will never probably have an opportunity to make as big a difference as you did during this school year, simply because if we had not brought kids back to school this year, if we had done the Los Angeles model or the Chicago or any of these other places where they basically just tell families you're out of luck for a year, year and a half, who knows, I think the consequences of that would have been so long lasting. And so I think they've done a lot, obviously positive good for the programs, but compared to what would have happened, man, you've saved so many people. You've saved families. You've saved students. You've kept kids on the right track. And this is something that Florida is going to be healthier and stronger as a state as a result. And had we not gone down this road, I think the consequences really would have been dire. And unfortunately, as painful as it is, I think you're going to have huge problems in these areas that have locked the kids out of school for all this long. And you know what, I talk to parents, yes, these skills are important. Yes, we're doing really well in AP. I mean, Richard knows, I mean, we're one of the top states now in passing AP exams, the academics, all that's important. But it's like the kids are happier when they have the ability to go to school. And that's something that it's hard to quantify that in terms of what effect that has on society. But I can tell you for most of the parents throughout Florida I've talked to, it's been a real godsend. So thank you guys for stepping up in difficult times and really, really making a difference. Okay, we're excited. We're going to take a couple questions. Yes, ma'am.
Two-parter for you, the first, we expanded eligibility again today. We have heard of people getting extra doses at their pharmacies if they're available. Over the weekend in Orlando, we had a jazz festival where 18 and older, it was announced that you can get your vaccines, and the state vaccinated them.
The state is not. So just understand, that's the county. So the state, our role, we send vaccines to a bunch of different distribution points. Counties are one of them. We also have drive-through sites, retail pharmacies, church programs. We have the homebound seniors. So we've got a lot of different things going on. But, you know, our executive order is 50 and up. And the reason is because, yes, Florida's led the way on vaccinating seniors. We're extremely proud to have done over 3 million seniors. We've got about 70% of all seniors in Florida have received a shot. However, some of those counties, like in Orange County, they're actually a little bit below the state average for senior coverage. And then you have the 60 to 64-year-olds and all that. So what I think makes more sense, rather than try to do very low-risk people, and I'm not saying that doesn't have a marginal benefit, because theoretically, if you have an 18-year-old, that probably will help cut down on potential transmission. But it doesn't have as direct, a strong of an impact as vaccinating someone that's in their 60s. And so what I think the counties that have had the most success, like St. John's and Leon and some of them, they've really reached out. And they want to make sure they're getting all the high-risk people that they can, or at least people that have more elevated risk. So that's why we're doing the age-based. You know, it's interesting. There was actually been some data that's been put out about public opinion about how do you view COVID or whatever. And there's a lot of really opinions that are not consistent with the facts, and whether that's because of it not being presented accurately. But like the average person, some people think that your chance of being hospitalized if you're in your 20s is like 33%. I mean, it's practically zero on that. The hospitalizations and the mortality is concentrated in elderly people. So as you go further down the age, the risk goes down much lower. So that's why we're doing the age-based approach. Our order is 50 and above. I do think the goal was to have all adults by May 1st. I think we're going to be able to get there way before May 1st. So if you're in your 20s, 30s, just understand this is going to happen very soon, absent them really reeling back the vaccines on us in terms of the supply. But if you haven't hit 70% or so of your seniors, man, what I would be doing is how do you get more seniors? Now, we're doing a lot with the homebound program. We've done, I think we're over 4,000 now, and we have more on the list, thousands of more to do. And that's really important that no one falls through the cracks. But still, at the county level, I think that they should definitely be making sure that you got the 60-year-olds, the 65-year-olds, and the 70-year-olds, because if you do that effort, it's going to make a big difference in terms of reducing. And you are seeing it not just in Florida, but nationally. Remember the nursing homes we went into first. We were the first state to go into nursing homes. All the other states were right behind us. And you're seeing big declines in the nursing home population for cases and mortality. And that's really what it's all about. 18-year-olds, you're not going to see much of an impact on mortality because, fortunately, it's not something that is causing a lot of deaths in that age cohort. Yes, sir. Yeah, I think that's all just them synthetically trying to create narratives. And I don't know if it's meant to be positive or negative. Most of the national narratives that the corporate press does about me tend to be negative, and I reject them. So I let them do whatever they want, but that's all them doing it on me. I think that people understand Florida's done a lot better than anyone predicted a year ago. That's just the reality. And, I had to make a lot of tough decisions, and I think folks have noticed that. But, you look at the main decisions we all had to make. How do you handle nursing homes? We protected nursing homes. We didn't ship the patients into nursing homes like some of these other states. We were able to reduce mortality and mitigate as a result. You look at the schools. Probably one of the most important decisions any governor can make. Are you going to get the kids in school? Or are you going to have them toil for a year? We were right on the schools. Obviously, having the economy open, we see the benefits of that. And then most recently, putting seniors first on vaccinations. I mean, that is going to have a positive impact on mortality. And so I think that this is something that folks appreciate seeing leadership, but it's really just me doing my job and trying to do the best I can for the people of Florida. And that's all I'm going to be continuing to do. Sure. So first of all, what you're saying is wrong. That's a fake narrative. So first of all, when we did the first pharmacies that had it were CVS and Walgreens, and they had a long-term care mission. So they were going to the long-term care facilities. They got vaccine in the middle of December. They started going to the long-term care facilities the third week of December to do LTCs. So that was their mission. That was very important, and we trusted them to do that. As we got into January, we wanted to expand the distribution points. So yes, you had the counties, you had some drive-through sites, you had hospitals that were doing a lot, but we wanted to get it into communities more. So we reached out to other retail pharmacies, Publix, Walmart. Obviously, CVS and Walgreens had to finish that mission, and we said we're going to use you as soon as you're done with that. For the Publix, they were the first one to raise their hand, say they were ready to go. And you know what? We did it on a trial basis. I had 3 counties. I actually showed up that weekend and talked to seniors across 4 different Publix. How was the experience? Is this good? Should you think this is the way to go? And it was 100% positive, so we expanded it, and then folks liked it. And I can tell you, if you look at a place like Palm Beach County, they were kind of struggling at first in terms of the senior numbers. I met with the county mayor, I met with the administrator, I met with all the folks at Palm Beach County, and I said, here's some of the options. We can do more drive-through sites. We can give more to hospitals. We can do the Publix. We can do this. They calculated that 90% of their seniors live within 1.5 miles of a Publix. And they said, we think that would be the easiest thing for our residents. So we did that. And what ended up happening was you had 65 Publix in Palm Beach. Palm Beach is one of the biggest counties, one of the most elderly counties. we've done almost 75% of the seniors in Palm Beach, and the reason is because you had the strong retail footprint. So our way has been multifaceted. It has worked, and we're also now very much expanding CVS and Walgreens now that they've completed the long-term care mission. Yes? And it's wrong. It's wrong. It's a fake narrative. I just disabused you of the narrative, and you don't care about the facts because obviously I laid it out for you in a way that is irrefutable. And so it's clearly not. No, 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 you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. Yes, sir. This is Richard.
Well, we're way ahead of schedule. Basically, the federal government just gave us the opportunity, all 50 states, to do a waiver. So we just made it public. You have 2 weeks to make it public, get all the input we possibly can. We're taking all that input. We work very, very closely with our superintendents. And then when we get that input, we apply for the waiver, and then we'll collaboratively figure out what is the best to do. But the accountability part of taking it, everyone, even the right, the left, all sides say you want that accountability because the people who suffer the most when you don't have that measurement, you don't know where you are with a certain student or your low-income kids. And so we're not going to let that happen. But once we get there, we have said from the get-go of this pandemic back in March when it came to schools, we will do what is right, we will do what is just, we will do what is fair, and we are leading with grace and compassion. And so the answer to that question is, I promise you, whatever that outcome is, it'll be something that we work with the superintendents, and it will be absolutely, I think, something that will be completely understood, the value of it when we get to that point. But right now, it's way too soon. We got to go out there and get the measurement. When we get the measurement, then we can sit back, look at that data, and make the decisions that are best for children. Well, I think we're going to work with the superintendents, and we'll work our way through that. But the fact of the matter is we've done millions of tests all through the fall already. All of the FSA makeups, all of the end-of-course exams, all of those. And we've done over 6 million or close to 6 million progress monitoring examinations. We've proven it's safe for those children to take that test. But for some reason, if there is a parent that's out there, again, we will be graceful and we'll be compassionate. But we want them to understand that it is safe and to get that evaluation of their child and where they need to go after a year in the pandemic is overwhelmingly more important than that. And hopefully we'll be able to get all the parents to understand that.
We had some federal guidance come down on visitation. Florida was one of the first to open it up for essential caregivers. There's some comments happening in that Florida caregivers page that there might be new guidance from the state in regards to visitation, maybe enforcing the current executive order to take their loved ones out, maybe for a haircut. Are we having any new guidance?
No, we want it to be completely open. I mean, every senior in these facilities has been offered a vaccine. The vast majority of them have taken the vaccine. We had to do 4,000 facilities. We did the first week because CVS and Walgreens wasn't quite ready. So we did 100 facilities in 1 week in Broward and Pinellas. CVS and Walgreens did probably a couple thousand. We did another 1,500 on the back end. So we did over 4,000 facilities. Everyone's been offered. Most of them have gotten 2 shots at this point, and then the staff has been offered. So my view is you need to open it up and you need to do it. So we're happy to facilitate whatever we can to have the visitation, to have this type of personal interaction that makes life worth living. And it'd be one thing in March of 2020 when we were really flying blind and we knew these were very vulnerable people. But we know a lot more. You can do basic things if you want to mitigate, but we know these people have been vaccinated, and you see the statistics nationwide. It's not just in Florida where this is crashing in these nursing homes, and I don't think it would have crashed like that without the vaccine. So let's embrace that and treat these folks like they're immune. Well, if I need to do something, but we're not restricting them from doing anything. I think a lot of them are concerned about potentially being sued. That's why I said I would put the nursing homes inside the liability bill that they're doing, because if you're just facilitating visitation, that's what you're supposed to be doing. There's not anything reckless about that, particularly at this point in time. So I'm 100% in favor of that, and if we can get that in the bill, maybe that'll make them feel a little bit more comfortable. But yes, open up, open up. One more. Yeah, but they're also getting, right, but that, and that's just the way the formula works. But, I mean, Richard, how much federal funding, I mean, have we gotten for the schools?
If you take the 3 packages, ESSER, Carissa, and now the new one coming, you're talking about, it's literally almost more than a third, close to a half of our total K-12 budget. And so, and what the governor's never done, he's never cut education at all. Even in his budget request for this year, he increased the base student allocation. He increased the teacher compensation. So there's no cuts in our K-12 education. The loss of money, which may be students that aren't here, which every superintendent can talk to you specifically, we've already just sent out the new Carissa package, and we've told them it's billions of dollars to make sure you're aware of what your student count is, because if you have those students come back, which we anticipate they are coming back, you need to set aside that portion of money, which you have, to make sure that you compensate for those kids for the school year. There is not a money problem in the K-12 world.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. So, okay, very good. Well, it's exciting. Thanks, everybody.